The member from Kitchener-Conestoga.
Speaker, my question is for the Minister of Transportation. Speaker, today the Premier is testifying before the Sudbury bribery hearings where Liberal ethics and integrity are on trial. Speaker, given that leadership starts at the top, few are surprised to hear reports suggesting ethically questionable dealings leading to the approval of a GO station in the minister's own riding. A $100 million GO station that a Metrolinx business case had already rejected. Yet, when Metrolinx said no, the minister approved it himself in a news release. Mr. Speaker, simple question. Did the minister override Metrolinx for his own personal political gain?
Good question.
Minister of Transportation.
Well, thanks very much, Speaker. I appreciate the question from the member across the way. I have now spoken on this issue in this legislature a number of months ago in response to a question from that same member. I've also had the opportunity to speak to the issue publicly on a number of occasions. Speaker, I will repeat now what I've said in the past on this issue. Firstly, from my perspective as Minister of Transportation, but also as someone who has lived and worked in the Greater Toronto and Hamilton area my entire life, I believe fundamentally that it's extremely important for governments at all levels and of all stripes to invest in critical transportation and transit infrastructure as communities grow and evolve. Speaker, we will see in parts of the GTHA, as that member knows, explosive growth over the next number of years, and we want to make sure that we're building in the right place at the right time, Speaker. What I've said in the last number of days, of course, is that Metrolinx is to not engage or enter into any contractual obligations with respect to either the proposed Kirby GO station or Lawrence East GO station, Speaker, and I understand that Metrolinx will be conducting work in that regard, and that was in media reports earlier today.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Yes, and back to the minister. Speaker, there's something seriously wrong when the minister is approving backyard GO stations that Metrolinx, in fact, warned would drive commuters out of their train seats and back onto the road. Even the Toronto Star editorial board strongly condemned this minister's decision, saying, quote, "Politics rather than good policy has determined transit decisions in this region." Politicians with little or no regard for the evidence declare what's to be built, often in a crass effort to garner votes. And who is the politician they speak of? That would be the Minister of Transportation. Mr. Speaker, will the minister come clean and admit that the Star was right and that this was just a crass effort to garner votes?
Thank you. Minister.
So, Speaker, again, I appreciate the follow-up question. First, what I didn't mention in my original answer, but I will say now, among other things, Speaker, notwithstanding the fact that I do passionately believe in the importance of investing in transit infrastructure as communities, including my own, grow and evolve, and again, there will be explosive growth in this particular part of York Region over the next 10 to 15 years, Speaker. I think it's also important to note that the proposed Kirby GO station is roughly 10 kilometres away from the riding in which I intend to run in next year's election campaign, Speaker. But at the same time, as I said in the second half of my answer to the first question, I have now sent a letter to the chair of the board of Metrolinx to make sure to stipulate explicitly that Metrolinx is not to enter into any contractual obligations, essentially spend any money on either the Lawrence East or Kirby GO station until the Metrolinx staff and board are satisfied that stations both at Lawrence East and at Kirby are justified. And I understand that the chair has responded with a letter saying that they will have that work completed by their February 2018 board meeting. Thanks very much, Speaker.
Thank you. Final supplementary.
Back to the minister. You know, the minister should just come clean here today. No further review nor minister assurances he'll listen to Metrolinx station recommendations going forward can cover up questions as to why he didn't listen to the same experts when his direction tried to drive us backward. Continued attempts to dance around political influence questions only breed more concern for Liberal ethics and corruption of the process. That same Toronto Star editorial declared, and I quote, "If the minister can't demonstrate to Ontarians that this is not politically motivated, he will have left no doubt that he is unfit for the job." Mr. Speaker, can the minister explain, was this decision politically motivated, or is he simply unfit for the job?
Minister.
So thanks very much, Speaker. So I've now served in my role for about 3.5 years as Minister of Transportation. I've taken many questions. From Leader Patrick Brown and the member from Kitchener-Conestoga in this legislature on transit and transportation, Speaker. And I have to say that I've never heard that member question my fitness to serve when I invested, and our government invested in Kitchener-Conestoga with a GO station at Breslau, Speaker. I didn't hear Patrick Brown, the member from Kitchener-Conestoga, suggest that I didn't have fitness to serve when we doubled gas tax for 99 communities across the province of Ontario to support public transit. I didn't hear that member or any member of the opposition complain when we invested in highways in the north, LRTs in Hamilton, subway expansions in every corner of the GTHA, Speaker.